we've got the deforce done. Let's go and put a light in the guy's head here. I think there was a material for that. This was from the Headless Horseman. Under materials, there we go. Headless Horseman pumpkin default matte, emission on. And there's also dual specular subsurface scattering matte. Let's check them all out and see which one works best before we tweak them in our master scene. So that's the next thing we're going to do. We're going to add 2 spotlights to our hero character in this scene so we can then bring him into our other scene. I'm thinking this has a slightly greenish tinge here. Let's try the subsurface scattering. See what that looks like. Oh no, that didn't work. Yeah, emission is definitely the way to go. So I feel it looks a little bit greenish, and while that looks all very Halloween-y, I'd like for this to be even brighter, and I'd also like for this to be a little warmer, so I'd like for this to be even more orange. Let's go tweak it. Under surfaces, default matte. Under emission, we've got, yeah, look at that. This is the texture that's in the emission channel, and we can just add a bit of orange light to it. We can decrease the emission temperature. Let's try 3000 without messing with it. That's just given that extra warm touch. You can also give it a color, so you can just go and add something. It doesn't have to be, don't go into here, just a tint, like a small tint like this. Then we don't emit white light, we emit more orange light. Kind of depends what you're after. I think this is a nicer color tone there. I might also crank this up from, what do we have now? We have about 35,000. Let's make it a bit brighter. I don't want to overdo it. Set the pumpkin to something like 50,000. Really bring out that glow there. Maybe even more, 60,000. I think we're good here. Nice. Let's do one other thing. And this is going to be more noticeable when I bring down the environment intensity to kind of 0.3, so to make it really dark again. I like for him to be illuminated from the front with the soft spotlight, and I would also like for him to separate from the background. That's always very important for me, that I have something like a little catch light here on his shoulder. So we'll put a little rim spotlight on the back, and we'll have a soft-ish spotlight from the front. Let's go set those things up and save them with our hero character scene. And then that makes our lives just so much easier by dragging this guy into the master scene, and then we're nearly done. The catch light's kind of coming from here, I guess. Create new spotlight, there it is. Apply the viewport transforms, so that means the spotlight's going to be positioned where I am right now. And if I zoom out, I can see this is where that is. That's a good start. It's probably a little high, but we'll tweak it in a minute. I'm going to call it rim light. And I will also, on the parameters tab under constraints, there is a thing called point at. And I'm going to point that not just at the base of my character, so not just at this, because that'll mean his feet. I'm going to point it at his chest. So drill down to hip, abdomen lower, upper, chest lower, chest upper. And that'll point at this point now. And the cool thing is that I can now go and make it lower, and the light will follow. And I can move it left and right, and I can just go and see the effect in a moment when I switch this to Iray. But this is kind of how I'm probably going to have my light, from somewhere from here. Under light, let's go and put the photometrics to something a little bit more, with body, as Columbo would say. Let's try 50,000, and the color temperature, I'm going to drop that down to 4,000. Actually 6,500 is going to be all right, because it's a spooky, coolish type night scene. That's our rim light, hopefully. Our front light is going to look more or less exactly the same. Let's go and edit, duplicate that, rename that hero light, and there's a small bug in Daz Studio in which the position of the constraint isn't exactly copied. So if I go and take my hero light away now, you'll see that it doesn't actually follow the upper chest anymore. It doesn't follow my character anymore, which is a shame. But under general constraints, it still points at the upper chest. So I have to just reselect it, but I can't just reselect it because it's already selected. Just select something else, like chest lower, then go and select chest upper again, and now it works. It's one of those things. I don't really know why that is, but it is so. Let's move this to the front, and it's kind of nice to work with these constraints because it means I can go and just find my position, and I don't have to keep repointing it at the character here. Bring that slightly lower. maybe like this. We'll see how it works. I think in this case, I might go and do something about my light geometry. I'll tweak that in a second. Just putting this into iRay view, and we'll see what this looks like. Hey, look at that. This is already really well done. The catch light is a little bit too much on his shoulder here, but the tendency is certainly there. And the hero light from the front, I think we're okay with that. If I disable that, and let's look at that. This is kind of darkish now. And if I switch it on, then I see a lot more of his detail there. I might just change the light geometry a little bit. And area, I might turn that from point to disk, and also might just make that a little, shall I make it softer? Probably don't even need that. I think we're okay there. Let me just go and point the rim light at a different position. I'll use 2 viewports for this. Then let me just go make a temporary camera here, just so that we can switch to that camera over here, and then I can mess with the perspective view without doing anything too drastic over here. So this is the light that I'm going to bring down and further from the back. So like this, and then further over, kind of, whoop, come on, buddy, you can do it. Come on, kind of over here, almost opposite the camera. See how this catch light is separating him now? If we had something like the background, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So maybe that was a bit too much. Do that. You can also adjust the spread angle there. Yeah, this is exactly what I was thinking. Precisely what I was thinking. Catches the pumpkin there a little bit as well. That's it. That's a hero character in situ. The exact posing and all that, we'll work that out as we are in our master scene, which we're coming to now. There. The camera we don't really need anymore. That was just for preview purposes. Let me go put the lights and parent them to my guy here so that they're all inside the character. So then I have one node that I can move around, and with him the lights would move. So that'll be beneficial. Let's do that. Scene subset. And this is going to be hero version 3. Anything that's parented underneath this guy will be saved. And then we'll go back to our master scene.